It started on a Tuesday morning in Crestwood, a small town where everyone thought they knew everyone's business. I was 26 working double shifts at a diner that smelled like burnt coffee and bacon grease. Most people who walked through those doors barely looked at me, except to snap their fingers for a refill. I had learned to swallow disrespect like it was part of the uniform until that day when things shifted in a way I never saw coming. This guy in a suit, slick, hair, expensive watch, sat down at my booth. He didn't even glance at the menu. Instead, he looked me up and down like I was dirt under his shoe. Get me black coffee. Hot. Don't screw it up, he said. No, please, no smile, just arrogance dripping with every word. I wanted to roll my eyes, but I kept my face neutral. Folks like him thrived on seeing you crack. As I poured his coffee, he muttered just loud enough for me to hear figures they'd hire someone like you here. I froze. I knew what he meant. My skin, my background, the way people in this town whispered behind my back. I'd been called worse, but hearing it that morning, it lit a fuse. The rest of the shift dragged with him, making little digs, snide remarks, trying to make me feel small. And yeah, part of me wanted to throw that hot coffee in his lap. But something told me to wait to breathe, to let him dig his own grave. 2 days later, the diner was packed. Lunch rush people crammed into booths, kids screaming for fries. And that same man walked in this time with a group. I realized quickly he wasn't just some rude stranger. He was Thomas Grayson, the new bank manager in town, the one people said was cleaning up the system. To me, he looked more like someone who wanted to own the place and everyone in it. He spotted me and smirked. Ah, the star waitress. Everyone don't mind her service here is, let's just say, entertaining. His friends laughed. My ears burned. My hands shook as I set down their plates, but I forced a smile. Inside, though, something broke. That night, I went home to my tiny apartment above the laundromat, sat on the floor, and cried till my throat hurt. But after the tears, anger settled in. I was done being the girl everyone looked down on. Done being the joke. The turning point came a week later. The diner's owner asked me to cover a private event, a charity dinner organized by none other than Grayson. Fancy suits, polished speeches, donations written with checks the size of a dining table, and me serving cocktails like I was invisible. Halfway through the night, I caught him cornering a young waitress, his hand brushing her arm, his tone slick and predatory. She looked terrified. Something snapped in me. I wasn't invisible anymore. I stepped in, voice sharp. She said she's busy. Back off, Grayson laughed. Look who grew a backbone. What are you going to do, sweetheart? Tell the world. And that's exactly what I did. I'd been keeping a little journal. Dates, names, comments he'd made, every degrading thing I'd overheard. But that night, with adrenaline running through me, I pulled out my phone and hit record as he boasted to his friends about keeping employees in line and knowing how to put people in their place. He didn't notice arrogance makes people sloppy. By the next morning, I had enough proof to paint the real picture of Thomas Grayson. I sent the recordings anonymously to a local journalist who had been itching for a story about corruption in town. 2 days later, the headline exploded across social media. Bank manager accused of harassment and misconduct. The diner was buzzing. Folks who once ignored me were whispering, "Did you hear Grayson's finished?" And there he was, storming into the diner like a man possessed, eyes locked on me. "You think you can ruin me?" he hissed. I stood tall, voice steady, though my heart pounded. "You ruined yourself. People just needed to see it." For the first time, his smirk slipped. He looked smaller somehow, like the mask had been ripped off. Within weeks, he was fired, his reputation in ashes. And me, I wasn't just the waitress anymore. People started treating me like someone worth listening to. Funny thing is, I didn't feel like a hero. I just felt free. Free from swallowing disrespect, free from playing small. I'd found my voice in the middle of chaos, and once you find it, you don't give it back. But here's the part that still sparks debates every time I tell this story. Some folks say I went too far, that recording him without consent was wrong, that I should have just reported it quietly. Others say I didn't go far enough, that men like him deserve worse than public humiliation. So I'll leave it with you. What do you think? Was I right to take him down the way I did, or did I cross a line? Comment below, share what you've seen, what you've lived through, because these stories aren't just mine. They belong to every person who's ever been underestimated, mocked, or told to stay quiet. And maybe, just maybe, by talking about it, we can start shifting what's normal in towns like Crestwood. Thanks for listening. Now it's your turn. Tell me what justice looks like to you.